With us on the line now is Neil Shah, the Chief De-Stressing Officer at the Stress Management Society. They, along with Huawei AppGallery, have conducted a study which revealed that technology is helping Brits regain control of their well-being and improve social connection. 2/3 of Brits say they feel more stressed than usual as a result of the pandemic, and 94% have said that tech has boosted their well-being. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, and you. How have you been?
I could be very British and say, yes, I'm good, can't complain, not bad. But the reality is I don't know where I am from 1 minute to the next. We are living a Black Mirror dystopian reality. When you've got to the point where walking outside your front door is more fantastical than anything you could find on Netflix, you kind of struggle to figure out how you navigate this, and it's a very weird time, let's say that.
Yes, absolutely, and understandably so. Unfortunately, there are a lot kind of things going on at the moment, reasons for people to be stressed, and we've got to try and not be stressed about all of this.
Yeah, and I think that this piece of research we did showed something, which was very troubling for me, that 2/3 of adults feel more stressed than they did before the pandemic started. Now, that may sound like an understandable statistic, but we didn't start from a good place. We already had a problem with stress and mental health before this even came along. So the fact that that people are saying that's 65% worse now, to me is very troubling. And for fear of using a cliched term, I fear if we have a mental health pandemic coming if we don't take action and find ways to support ourselves and each other through this. Because it's been such a long period of time. A year is a big chunk of our lives. If you're an adult, if you're in your 30s or 40s, that's a good percentage of your life. But if you're 10 or 11 or 12, you might not even remember what your life was like before this even started. And this is where some of the things that came out from this study, people feeling a real sense of disconnection, uncertainty, loss of control, powerlessness, is really troubling because it's a double whammy. Not only have we got situations that are creating more stress and anxiety because of everything that's happened, all of the things that we would normally do to make ourselves feel better, depending on where you are in the world or in Europe, may have been taken away from you. In London, we're still in full lockdown. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to a bar or a restaurant. I can't meet up with my friends. I can't go on holiday. All the things that I might do to actually lift myself and make myself feel better have been taken away. And obviously, because of external challenges, I've got more pressure than ever before.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very difficult. So what do we do, Neil?
Now, here's the thing: is a lot of things that we would normally do, we can't. So what's astonishing is many people are turning to their devices to get that sense of connection, through Zoom and Skype calls to escape or whatever. Now, before this piece of research, I was under the illusion that the significant increase we've seen in the use of technology, I think it's been something like a 60% increase in technology use over the last 12 months because people are turning to their devices. I thought that was a bad thing. I'd come to the firm conclusion that technology, like money, is the root of all evil. Now, the reality is neither of those phrases are true, Hannah. Money is not the root of all evil because you could use it to buy drugs, guns and bombs, or you could use it to help your community, feed homeless people or support your family, right?
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper or a digit on a spreadsheet. In the same way, technology is neither inherently good nor evil. It's just a device. At this precise moment, I don't believe that it's created its own intelligence and it's hell-bent on taking over the world like in Terminator. Not yet anyway. It might happen. But, it's how we use the technology that will determine the impact it has on our lives. Because if you're endlessly scrolling through social media or 24-hour news apps, you're probably going to find that you're going to get stressed and anxious and your fear is going to increase. But if you're living by yourself or you're away from your friends and family, you're using it to be able to connect with them on video calls, if you're using it to get recipes to learn how to bake banana bread, to learn a new skill, learn a new language, that could enhance your life. And this is where, obviously, we partner with a technology company. Their motivation is that they were releasing apps like Headspace that teaches mindfulness on their AppGallery, which have in a way been able to support people in finding the tools to be able to navigate these uncertain times. And it was astonishing that 78% of people using technology to de-stress, but 94% of those people said it's boosted their well-being. So I've come to the conclusion that it's not so much that technology is good or bad, it's most of us are slaves to our technology rather than masters of it. You know, when the technology bleeps, buzzes, rings, vibrates, we're like, yes sir, no sir, I will answer, I will respond, rather than using it to support you and to help you, and then using that little button on the side or the top of your device, which no one's ever used. It's called the off switch. The one that's always, you know, even when your phone's 5 years old, it's always still shiny and brand new because it's never been used. So it's about having better rules on how we engage with our technology and how we use it to serve us rather than being enslaved by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And choosing what kind of things you use it for. And you know, the news, for example, surely most people know by now that when you watch the news in general, it's going to be quite negative. It's going to make you think, oh no, oh God, no, I better not leave the house then. And this is, you know, I hope it's common knowledge now that is the case. And I've said to quite a few people in this past year, when I've spoken to people who have been really nervous to leave the house, you know, really a lot of anxiety and stress as to what's going on, when they're going to see their families again, you know, real problems, real issues that a lot of people are understandably facing and thinking about. But people who are really, really suffering with it, I've said to a lot of them, do you watch the news by any chance? And all of them have said, yes, absolutely. And you kind of go, well, try not to.
Yeah, you know, the conclusion I've drawn, and this could be completely incorrect, this is just my opinion, same story, different people, or different day. It's, you know, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It really feels like we're living in Groundhog Day, where every day, you know, for us is the same. Every time you watch the news, it's the same. Yeah, more people have got infected, more people have died, you know, more bad things have happened. And it's just like, okay, you know, there's only so much of that you can take before it starts to affect you.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not important that we don't know what's going on, but what I am saying is that, you know, if it's not serving, if it's not uplifting, if it's not allowing you to live your life in the way that you, then it might be better to find a different strategy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's because I understand, obviously, people say, oh no, I need to watch the news because I need to know what's going on. I understand that. But yeah, as you said, if you're suffering from it, if you're watching it and then feeling bad because of it, it's not helping you. It's not serving you. And you'd probably be better not watching it, you know, unless you're relying on it to, how you're going to format your day, which is highly unlikely. Then, you know, I'm sure someone else will tell you what's going on, or you can find out in other means. You don't need to be watching the news and feeling depressed for the rest of the day because of it.
No, absolutely. And may I ask you, so what is your relationship with your technology, if I may be so bold as to ask? It's something I'm really fascinated in, is people's relationship with their devices.
Yeah, well, I use my phone a lot. I mean, I do social media, obviously, and I have a Kindle as well. I've been doing a lot more reading this year, so I use a Kindle for reading because it's handy to use at night. I play the odd game on my phone as well, and have been using Zoom a lot to do quizzes and things with family and friends over the past year. So, yeah, a fair bit.
And have you found that during this period where we have been a little bit more disconnected and isolated from the people we care about, has it been a valuable tool for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I think it's brilliant. I mean, with Facebook particularly, it can be very up and down. You know, people are very passionate about how they feel about things. And I'm sure everyone who uses social media has seen, you know, arguments and people, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, and things like that. And you kind of go, I don't want to look anymore. And it sort of puts you off. But then on the other side of things, the positive side, you know, it enables you to communicate with people the other side of the world, maybe friends that you grew up with, went to school with, who are in the similar situations in a different country, and you share your own experiences and photos of people's kids and birthdays and things like that. And it's a really great tool if it can be used in the right way.
And that, for me, is the key point, is us taking control of how we use our technology. We dip in when it serves us, and we know when it's time to unplug. Now, the analogy I'd offer you is a movie which everyone will be very familiar with, and the movie is The Matrix. Have you seen the movie The Matrix, Anna?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm started a campaign to get that reclassified as non-fiction, because actually that's the reality of the world that we live in today.
Yes.
So your devices, your digital life is like the Matrix. Reality is, in the movies when you're on the Ebuchadnezzar, when they're on the ship and they're in what is the real world. We have this beautiful, amazing, wonderful real world. And, we can dip into our digital worlds as and when to do what we need to do. But then you leave and you go back to reality. And what's happening is more people are getting lost in their digital worlds and disconnecting from physical reality. And this is where, for me, mindfulness is a really wonderful practice. The amount of people are, in the days when we used to be out in restaurants, you'd see people sat at a restaurant table with their families and they're all looking at a screen, or people walking in the parks, as I've seen recently, and they're all looking at a screen or got headphones plugged in. And I'm saying, take some time to unplug, to disconnect from the Matrix, to enjoy reality. And you go in on your terms, or, in a way that serves you, rather than, the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up, you plug into the Matrix. The last thing you do at night before you go to sleep is you plug into the Matrix. And whilst you're doing everything that else you're doing in your life, whether that's walking or eating or whatever, don't do that plugged in. There was a University of Greenwich study that was done several years ago that suggested that 38% of smartphones in Britain have got fecal matter on them because people don't switch off long enough to use the toilet. Sorry for those of you eating your breakfast, but this is the level of hyperconnectivity that we have created in our lives, that we don't log off long enough to use the bathroom piece. Now, again, another movie reference, Back to the Future. Dr. Emmett Brown, he came up with the flux capacitor, which was the device that enabled time travel. When he was sat on the toilet, I think he fell off the toilet and smashed his head. Now, if he'd been looking at his screen, that wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't have come up with the ability to create time travel, and we wouldn't have had the wonderful Back to the Future movie. So, okay, again, I'm full of movie references today. There is a couple more movie references, and if we want to know what's coming, it's just watch Will Smith's films. So, I Am Legend, where the vaccine turns everybody into zombies, and then Independence Day, that aliens attack. Now, again, I'm being a bit ridiculous. I'm full of movie references this morning.
Brilliant.
But the point is that we do find ourselves living in a world which none of us could have imagined 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You could not have imagined that this was coming, yet it's here. So we do really need to think very carefully about how we look after ourselves and how we support ourselves in being able to develop the skills, tools, confidence, and resources to be able to navigate whatever the new abnormal looks like. I hate the phrase new normal. There's nothing normal about what's going on. But we need to take some time and invest in energy and effort into preparing and upskilling ourselves for whatever this new world looks like, because we've kind of been thrust into this. And that's where, as I said, Hollywood film jokes aside, that it's something I think is really important that we look at, and we create sort of, some rules as to how we are going to look after ourselves and manage our lives in a way that it doesn't get overwhelming. Because for me, social connection through digital devices does not replace being physically present with your friends and family. So it's great as an interim measure, but what I'm hoping is there isn't a long-term hangover where people throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't go back to the things that kind of filled us with joy, because we think, well, why would I bother going out to a restaurant when I could just do a Zoom call or something? I don't think that will happen, but we're starting to see this with companies, for example, getting rid of the physical workspace. We're seeing children that have got online lessons where, even though the schools are opening up again in Britain on Monday, there are schools that are saying they're hoping to maintain a certain amount of those lessons online, which is kind of scary for me.
Yeah.
Because in the Victorian times, they created an education system which was to create good factory workers. Now, if the future of work is Zoom calls working from home, what will we do to prepare children? Is you start giving them online lessons. So, is this going to be kind of a shift in the trajectory of human evolution based on what's happening now?
I have to say, I even know people who are saying, I don't think I'll hug people moving forward. Maybe we all hugged each other too much, and maybe we can learn something from this. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. What is going on?
But I think for you living in Spain and in countries like Spain and Italy where they are very warm, I'm hoping that there will be some resistance. In Britain, I think people are always uncomfortable with a bit of a hug anyway.
Yeah.
So we've got some work to do. But honestly, my belief is we weren't hugging enough. The sense of loneliness and disconnection feel has been astonishingly high. We ran a free hugs campaign a few years ago. We had people that colleagues and friends that went out to places like King's Cross and Euston Station with banners just giving out hugs, and the amount of people that literally burst into tears because they hadn't had a hug for like weeks or months.
Oh, yeah.
So get more hugs.
Definitely. Oh, I'm with you. I'm high-fiving you, Neil.
I'm hugging you.
I'm hugging you back. Absolutely. Thanks, Neil. If people want more information, they must get in touch with the Stress Management Society because there's lots of information on the website.
One more thing I wanted to say. April, we've got a Stress Awareness Month, and the theme this year is regaining control, connectivity, and certainty. We've got tons of free resources, downloads, books. There's a free mindful colouring book. It's all free of charge, and it's stress.uk/Stress Awareness Month, so feel free to check those out. And maybe I can come back on in April for Stress Awareness Month and we'll have another chat.
That would be fantastic. Absolutely. I've written it down. We'll be in touch.
Excellent.
Thanks,
have a lovely
Neil.
day.
You too.